Let's make our way to the United States. It's been a huge 24 hours, and Peter Mathews joins us every Sunday morning. How are you, Peter?
Very well, Tim. How are you?
Good. This is devastating, what has happened with the tornadoes.
The tornadoes, the latest news that's come through, and we have to see what the damage is. And it has to do with climate change. There's just too much of changing weather patterns, from tornadoes, cyclones, hurricanes, to droughts in California. And this is a tragedy. It's a human tragedy. It's going to happen more and more. And I'm just hoping and praying that the damage isn't too much. It's just terrible what we've seen.
Yeah, well, the death toll at the moment is 70 people, and it's in the central US. Look, both of our countries, Australia and the US, have traditionally faced the extremes of the weather. But as you say, it does seem more and more like it's almost on a weekly basis. In both countries, we're seeing the extreme of extreme.
There's no doubt about that whatsoever. The climate change is very drastic. It's happening more faster than ever before. And we've got things like rising sea levels. The seas have risen in the last 20 or 30 years by at least a couple of inches. And it's just very dangerous what's going on. But most of these tornadoes and hurricanes are the most devastating, and the droughts as well, and the fires in California as a result. We've got to get a handle on this, Tim, and the governments have to be involved, as well as private citizens and businesses as well, in curtailing climate change and global warming.
And of course, Omicron is the new variant of what we have seen with COVID-19. But whether or not this is the latest problem in the United States, there's another wave, and the National Guard has actually been called in to help in some areas of medical health.
Yes, it has gotten much worse. And Omicron itself, while it may be milder than the Delta, it spreads much faster. But still, the biggest killer for us right now is Delta, the Delta itself. And what we have to do is look at the numbers of people who are not vaccinated. And there's an interesting partisan relationship. NPR did a study and found that 59% of Republicans are vaccinated. 59% of Republicans are vaccinated, but 91% of Democrats are vaccinated. And you're 3 times as likely to die if you're not vaccinated. So that puts higher death rates in counties that voted for Donald Trump. Look at the Republican counties in America and the Democratic leaning counties, and you find the 3 times as higher death rates in the Republican-leaning counties than the Democratic ones. And this is a real tragedy. It should never be a partisan issue. It should be based on science. We know the vaccines work tremendously to cut back on illness in the hospitals and death, and yet people are doubting it. They're getting misinformation, Tim, in especially a lot of the rural areas and also in the cities, that people get the wrong media. Social media, misinformation and disinformation is really literally killing people, and this has got to somehow be changed. We have to get more education out there. People have to talk to each other, and the government has to put forth information that's accurate. But those who believe in, people who are believed, like your pastors, your church ministers, your teachers, people who believe other people, those are the people who have to be speaking out on this, not just the government.
Peter, you're the Professor of Political Science at Cypress College in LA. What do you make of what's going on with the US and Russia at the moment?
It's very critical. I mean, the Ukraine situation is concerning to a lot of people, with the Russian troops amassed on the Ukraine border. On the other hand, I think I'd like to take a more objective view on it and see that the United States should negotiate with Russia and should see what Russia's concerns were. For example, after the Cold War was over, when the Soviet Union disintegrated, there was a promise made from the Western side that we wouldn't take NATO up to Russia's borders or into Russia, the former Soviet Union's borders, or on the Soviet territories through the Soviet republics. Yet that's exactly what began right after the Soviet Union disintegrated. And then Russia, of course, has been having a reason, or they say they have a reason. It certainly appears that way to their people and their leader. And Putin is not shrinking violet. He wants to bring back the power of the Soviet Union again to some extent. But you have to look at this and balance it, because it's going way out of hand. And it looks like the Biden-Putin summit may have had some effect to hold back and get Putin to hold back on this troop movement. But it's very dangerous. And then we have, the other things that are going on with China and the concern the U.S. has about China as well. This all has to be handled diplomatically, Tim, with information about the past, about history, about geography, and to understand what the cool heads must prevail. Otherwise, this could completely get out of hand. And the United States facing 2 potential adversaries there would be no fun and games if that ever happened and broke into a war, for example. It's very dangerous right now.
That is Joe Biden's strong suit, though, isn't it? That kind of diplomacy, that one-on-one, that small group discussion kind of area. He has been criticised a lot, of course, over time about his public addresses. It's obviously not his strong suit, but it would be fair to say that this is where Joe Biden's strength lies, is in negotiation, in that international discussion point.
It does. And both Biden and Putin were able to de-escalate the approach and rhetoric because Biden was willing to do this and to be a bit more reasonable if he sees the other side also being reasonable. And that's the one-on-one diplomacy. And I think Biden is fairly good at that. It's just that right now, anything could happen to miscalculation. That's the danger, Tim. World War I began through miscalculation, as Barbara Tuchman, the eminent historian, told us. And we can't let that happen again, especially with nuclear weapons involved right now. But it is true that Biden negotiates quite well one-on-one, and we hope he'll be able to come through on this and to, make sure that nothing gets out of hand with either Russia or China and the United States at this time.
Professor Peter Mathews, it's always good to chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. My pleasure. Take care.